So we've been around the centre and now we've ended up in the Officer Tutor's office. And the Officer Tutor is responsible for all the delivery of officer professional development and education. At the moment we've seen the MAA module course that's being run, but also job would be covered. So Dean, what I want to ask you is, what do you find to be some of the biggest hurdles for young officers coming on courses here, whether it be job or MA, that they face that a bit of pre-reading or investigation of the courses that we can help them with would overcome?
Well, there's two main areas actually. The first area is the fact that for some officers it's been quite a while between educational courses. So to get their brain back up to that kind of level of speed, really you need to do a little bit of investment before. You'd need to revise things such as essay writing. We use a system on all the officer educational courses. We use the Chicago referencing system, for example. You have to be familiar with analytical tools. You also really need to just spend a bit of time perhaps practicing these things, so that when you get here you are ready to be able to argue, to reason, to put a coherent argument across, sometimes at speed. And that's one of the things that we notice straight away. It seems to be missing from some of the guys who come here. The other one is actually just a broad-based knowledge of the military and international affairs. And you can get this from anywhere. I mean, on the Army Learners portal, we've got a whole section where they can read into what's happening in the defence pages of newspapers, for example, or periodicals and things like that. But it's just having a working professional knowledge of the world, which the people who do invest that time actually find these courses much easier. And of course, it's easily done, but it just means you've got to invest a little bit of time before you arrive.
Stevie will allude to later on in this short film about how to access the Army Learners portal, because we're referring NCOs for that as well, to help them out with their essay writing skills and also the ability to analyse. But it is something that we are now more equipped to help students with, I feel, than we have been in the past, because of Defence Connect and the ability for us to put resources on there. And there's a lot of resources on there, isn't there? Have you had any positive feedbacks from students that have engaged with that process and reported back to you and said, yeah, thank you very much for that, or can you put something on for future reference?
Yes, we have actually, but the way it generally comes back is that, as you know, we do two courses, MA courses, MAA and MAB, and we do get a lot of people who have been on our MAA who then bid for our MAB. Because they like the kind of approach we take. And I think as long as people realise, I mean, if you don't come prepared on one of these courses, it doesn't mean you're going to fail. It just means that you're not going to reach your full potential. So hopefully you'd have had people who come on MAA and gone, that's interesting, I like that. And then by the time they come on MAB, they're actually flying a lot higher, where of course they could have started higher. So I suppose for us, that and also the feedback we get from courses saying that people generally enjoy what they do, they find it rewarding, and it is investing time in them. And for most officers, it's one of the first opportunities, be it job or MA, that they've actually had to invest in themselves, rather than just something that's purely pointing towards the job that they're doing, the next deployment or what have you. It's actually investing in them. And I think most of them really enjoy it and they get a lot out of it.
What I found most frustrating about MAA and Bravo was they weren't long enough. We really got into them, really loved the analytical side of it. But there is ways of continuing that style of study. University short courses, open to NCOs and officers. Would you suggest that somebody explores the university short course route before attending, or is it something that would build on what they learn from Alpha and Bravo?
I think either way. I don't think it necessarily matters, because one, if you do it before, then you just get a little bit of an advantage. But for a lot of people, the subjects that we're talking about, I mean, like an MAB, you're talking about Clausewitz, and you're talking about escalation, you're talking about the Iran-Iraq War, First Gulf War. It may not be something that people naturally gravitate to or read, but we find that after they've been through it, they've actually done the analysis, they get a bit of a taste for, you know, the kind of war studies type thing. So when you come with the MAB and you start to look at international relations, you're looking at NATO and the United Nations and things like that, people are quite geared up and quite interested in it. So yeah, I think it would have if they did it before, but it's certainly not essential. But we do get a lot of people who subsequently then do look at short university courses, or of course look at MOOCs, massive open online courses, where they can delve in a little bit deeper. And of course all this adds up, because now any officers that join up now are on a great long master's education programme, obviously culminating now in a master's degree after staff college as a major. So anything they do now is really just helping, it's just adding to that knowledge base on a continuum that now goes right the way up to master's level.
Smashing. Dean, thanks very much for giving us a look at the Officer Tutor side of things and the access to education they can get at an education centre. Stephen, next stop.